morning. I'm going to try one more video and hope everything works. I see my timer is moving, so that's good. I want to tell you about my little town, Mercer, North Dakota, where I grew up. We grew up on a farm. We lived 3 miles north of Mercer, North Dakota, but my dad was the kind of dad that just wanted to support his local hometown, so we didn't drive down to Bismarck, the capital city, to buy our groceries like some people did. We supported our little local grocery stores, and our little town had about 100 people. Now that's kind of big compared to some little towns in North Dakota. 100 people. We had 2 grocery stores. We had a bank. We had a post office. We had 2 cafes. One of them closed down when I was growing up, so I only had one. They had a little pool hall where off of that cafe where my dad would go play pool with his buddies. And Mom shopped for groceries. We didn't have a signal light. There might have been stop signs there. We had a Baptist church, a Lutheran church, a EUB church, where you could bring your meat in and they would cut it up and freeze it in your lockers. And then whenever you wanted meat, you'd go. You didn't have freezers like we have today. You just go into the meat market and get your meat. They sold stuff in the meat market, candy and little bits of stuff. We got 35 cents a week for allowance, us girls. I don't know what the boys got, and they got of age to get an allowance, but we got 35 cents. And it went pretty far, 35 cents. Of course, I think we spent it all on candy. We had a depot. The Sioux line came through Mercer. I think it was the Sioux line. We had elevators where you could bring your grain into the elevators. Now, what was the purpose of that? Did they store it there? I don't know what the purpose of an elevator was. But we had elevators. We had gas station on each end of the main street. And then one of them closed down, so it left us with only one gas station. We had rust manufacturing. A guy was very creative and started creating things like bale bunchers, where they would follow along behind the baler and gather up your bales and bunch them in a pile and then drop them. But he created other things too, so he had rust manufacturing, and he'd fix things for you. Let's see, what else did we have in Mercer? I know there were some empty buildings when I got big enough to roam the streets of Mercer, so I don't know what was in them before, but we would come into town on Saturday night usually, like everybody did. Dad would go play pool and Mom would go buy groceries, and we would walk up and down the streets and we'd go spend our 35 cents. We were not allowed to go in the side streets, just up and down Main Street. On the side streets, there wasn't anything anyway. I mean, the Baptist church was off on one side street, and the EUB church on the other side. Our Lutheran church was on the north end of town. That was about it, except our friends that would come walk up and down the streets with us. It was fun, being from a small town and not having a lot of people, just our friends. We had a unique Brush Lake. Our farm was on Brush Lake, so we could go from our farm down to the lake and ice skate in the winter. Our dad would pull us around behind our cars, on sleds. We'd hook them up behind his car and make a long line of sleds, and he would pull us and go around corners really fast, and we'd whirl out It was fun. And in the summertime, of course, there was boating, water skiing and stuff. And then people started building cabins on the lake and coming up from Bismarck and spending the weekend at Brush Lake. We put up a roller skating rink. I don't know who did, if it was the city or what, but we had a roller skating rink, and a guy who was very good, he would come up every Sunday and he'd play music and we would roller skate, and he would teach us different things about roller skating, how to skate backwards and how to, do the two-step on skates. I mean, he was very good, and we loved him, and it was one of our recreational things that we could do. They started having dances out there, but we weren't allowed to go to any dances. We were blessed to, there was a little Scaly's store on the lake where they sold ice cream and candy, and you could go in and have a cup of coffee and stuff like that. It was a small little place, but our friends ran it, and I wonder if they didn't even have gas they sold there. We had a great time, and I don't remember any real tragedies except a guy that drowned one summer, and I remember them pulling him out of the water, and I don't know who he was. He was from some other town, but it was pretty tragic for a small town to lose someone that way and then be down there when it happened. And I saw his feet, and that's tragic as a young girl when that happens, even if you didn't know him. So we were blessed. We went to a country school. It was about a mile away, and we walked every day, even in the cold winter. We walked. It was 3 girls with our lunch pails, and it didn't matter how cold it was. We had a dog. She'd come meet us, and so had our pet pig. The year we had him, maybe he got taught by the dog, who knows? But he'd come meet us too from school. Sniffer was his name. I'm trying to think of what that dog's name was. How could I forget? We had him for years and years and years, and he got hit by a car one day, and the guy that hit him brought him in, laid him down beside our house in the sunshine, and he laid there and licked his wounds and got up one day and walked away. It wasn't a he, it was a she dog, and I don't remember. I know her mother's name was Susie. Anyway, funny what you remember. Love you guys.